back to another episode of the Next Gen podcast. So I have really excited about today's episode. I got Stratton Kraft here with Kraft Family Dairies, and yeah, I really wanted to learn more about your dairy. And I think dairies are always one of those things that have kind of amazed me. Really not a whole lot in our area. And then it seemed like in the last 20, 25 years, I mean, I think you said you have what, 6 or 7 dairies just in Morgan and
hmm
Weld County right there in that small pocket there. And uh, yeah, I think one thing I've found common with a lot of people that run the dairies is that they're really good with numbers and yeah, just they pay a lot of attention to detail too. And I guess that's one thing I think all farmers can really learn a lot from the other from each other on what all can we take away, learn different ways to do things, and yeah, that's kind of the point is to bring a spotlight to you, I guess. And um, yeah, I've known you for 6 years now. We were actually
Yeah.
trying to figure that out the other day. I think six.
Yeah.
So 5.5 or 6 years. And why don't you just start off, do a brief introduction, and I'm sure I didn't do it justice. So
No, well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the invite. Happy to do this stuff with you. Yeah, my name's Stratton Kraft. I'm with Kraft Family Dairies out of Fort Morgan, Colorado. Um, so we milk 6,700 head of animals between two locations, and then we have our own replacement heifers as well, and our own calf rearing facility, maternity. We do just about everything in house that we possibly can. Kind of to some of your point of the money aspect of this is that's how we keep a lot of money in our own pockets instead of sending it out somewhere else and having all the markup and everything else that goes on. Kraft Family Dairies, myself and my mom and my dad are business partners, so we are a family operation. We also have 85 employed people that operate on our facilities, and we the name with Kraft Family Dairies is we do treat a lot of our or all of our employees as family members, um, and that really defines a lot of our culture with Kraft Family Dairies is how we operate with our employees, not our employees for us or us and then the employees. It's an altogether deal. We started Kraft Family Dairies. Well, I guess I'll back up a little bit. Kraft Family Dairies has been the name has been around since 2015. The family has been around since 1888. We've been in Colorado, so I'm fifth generation dairyman on my mom's side. So my mom's family is the McIntosh family, Riverdale Road and 120th in Brighton, 4.5 minutes from downtown Denver. Still operate, still milk today. They're declared federal open space. They've been in that location since 1906. In 1988, my parents split off from that operation and moved out to Fort Morgan. We started out with, I think, 125 cows that we had bought from my mom's Uncle John, his portion of the family business out, and moved into the house that they still live in the middle of the dairy with the previous owner for the first year. They're like 4 or 5 years into marriage, and they're living with this other guy that they're buying the dairy from. And we went, oh shoot, I think we started out with a herringbone three, so 3 cows on each side in a chevron type pattern to a four, to a five, to a six, to an eight, to a parallel 12. Now we have a parallel 22 and a parallel 50, two different locations. So we've grown quite a bit. We operate our main facility, which is Quail Ridge Dairy, is our larger of the two facilities, but not our home place. Our home place is Badger Creek. We operate them quasi independent, quasi together. So Quail Ridge Dairy is our high speed facility. It's a freestall facility. We're milking 750 cows an hour through our parlor. Um, we're averaging, I think, my, I think the other day's numbers was like a 98-pound average per cow per day. Um, and
On milk
on
production.
milk production per cow per day. So
Two milkings or three?
three times a day, and that's milking about 5,500, 6,000 head up at that facility.
How automated? Describe the milking process. Like, how automated is it? Do you still have guys going up there hooking the machine up?
Yeah,
And like,
so
what percentage of it's hand done versus automated?
I could probably get into trouble with some of my other dairy farm friends, but um, well, we have crunched the numbers, and going to fully automated robotic dairying as technology stands right now is not feasible or price friendly to an operation our size. Um, to go to full robots would be like, I think it'd be an upfront cost of like $45 million from the time a cow enters to the time that all the cows leave, and they leave uh, like racehorses at a racetrack, except obviously much slower because they're cows. Is like 7.5 minutes for 50 cows to leave. So every 7.5 minutes, 50 cows are out. But we have 6 guys in our milking parlor at all times at Quail Ridge. Badger Creek, because it's a parallel 22, it's only 3 guys at a time. So you got one guy that's bringing cows up from the pens, and from the time a pen gets empty to the time cows begin to return is about 20 minutes. So we put them in a holding pen, then they file into their milking stalls, and then you've got a guy that comes through. He's the first guy, and probably one of the most important guys that comes in our milking operation, and he's using a pre-dip, a pre-teat dip. The reason why they call it a dip is because we used to dip each individual teat in. Now you do it with a sprayer, and you're getting full coverage all the way around. It's got a disinfectant, an emulsifier on there, so any manure or hair follicles that are still on there, you don't want to drink that, I assume.
Yeah, I'd imagine not. So you're
so
washing
so
the udders before
we're
you even milk
we're
them.
sanitizing
Yep.
everything. Our parlors are sanitary. Um, so that guy goes in, he's spraying that on there. There's a 15-second requirement of that being on contact with it before anything else happens. Um, we have strippers in the dairy industry, not the kind that you're thinking of. What we Our second guy comes through the stripper is he's actually stripping the teat end. So he's starting at the base of the udder and he's pulling down to the end of the teat, and he's actually looking at the ground where he's shoving a little bit of milk onto the ground, just less than a tablespoon, or probably less than a teaspoon, really. He's looking for anything of discoloration or uh, undesirable qualities that you don't want occurring in your milk. Mastitis, anything chunky, bloody, anything like that, because that happens. Um, you got to remember, when we're talking about anything to do with cows, cows and people are synonymous in the vast majority of things. Health issues, milk production, those sorts of things. Don't believe me? Ask your wife. This stuff all happens. Um, and so that guy's doing kind of a health check, if you will, on the milk. If anything looks off, it does not end up in production tanks. It ends up getting dumped down the drain, because we are purveyors of baby food and healthy products for human consumption. Um, and we take that very, very seriously. Um, So back to the milking operation. Third guy that comes across is he's got a towel, mostly dry towel. It's got a little bit of moisture left in it. It's a microfiber towel that has some grippiness to it, and the reason why we say it's mostly dry is a little bit of dampness on those microfiber towels actually gives them more grab. So anything that's left as far as the teat dip, the manure or hair follicles, you're wiping that off and you're cleaning it off. And then the fourth guy that comes through is he's attaching machines. And so that's that is a physical part of the job. All of that is very physical. Each cow that we wipe off with a towel, each cow has its own towel. They're not necessarily labeled for each cow, but you don't use this towel on one cow and then go to the next cow because then you have the possibility of transferring mastitis or
Mm-hmm.
bacterial infections or something like that.
Yeah, cross contamination.
Yeah, so again, very stringent rules on how that all goes. And at that juncture, so part of what's going in there, there's the cleanliness process to it, but also you have the oxytocin reflex. So when the guy comes in and he strips, the time frame between when he strips to the time frame that the milk machine is put on is roughly 60 seconds ish, 45 to 60 seconds. And that is giving that triggered of kind of like a calf starting to suckle, and then the milk letdown happens, and then that's when you get the big rush of milk. And from the time the first cow enters to the time the last cow or all the cows leave is about 7.5 minutes. We're going to split that 98-pound average into 3 times. That's all going to happen in 7.5 minutes. It's like, as far as efficiency,
That's impressive.
I don't know how much more efficient you can get. And the awesome thing about the dairy industry or the beef industry, specifically the dairy industry, is while we are making money daily on milk production, they're also carrying a calf for the vast majority of that. Then they end up with a 2 month hiatus or maternity leave, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We call it a dry off period, and that happens prior to calving. So the last 2 months, so 7 months to 9 months of their carrying calf, they get to go on vacation because we're trying to get them to focus on fetal production instead of milk production. And as soon as they have a calf, they go right back into the milking stream.
What do you do with the calves then?
Calves, so we kind of run a multifaceted system. So there's a system for everything. There's a protocol for everything. Calf rearing, we are constantly trying to get better genetics into our herd, whether that's higher milk production, better components, being butter, fat, and protein, or uh, longevity, better frame, locomotion, those sorts of things. And we try to do those all at the same time. We take the first 3 calvings of that animal's life. So from when they're a heifer in the first insemination to the end of their second lactation, we're throwing sexed semen, which is a really cool technology. So we can get better than 50% odds of throwing a heifer calf for our replacement. And we're doing that Holstein on Holstein. And those are the animals that are going to come into our production stream. Anything third lactation and up, so 3 calves and up, which we've got quite a few cows that pass 9 to 12 lactations. So that's 12 to 14 years old.
That's what I was going to ask what the longevity is.
If you treat them right and you've got good genetics, they last you a long, long time. And anything that's that 3 lactations and up, we go black, our beef builder programs. So the beef builder program is beef on dairy. So that's beef semen in a Holstein cow. And what we're looking for specifically with the feed yards that are taking them, they're looking for black tongue, black hoofs, and that way they qualify as certified Angus, whether they have it or not. And they're worth a pretty penny right now, about $1,800 ish, give or take, depending on what the market's doing today.
For a day old calf.
For a day old black tongue, black hoofed calf. When I was a kid, I remember throwing them up on the front lawn of the dairy for the guys to come and get them, and in the afternoon there'd be more calves there than what we put out in the morning, because when I was a kid, there just wasn't really that want for the beef on dairy or the reject coals.
It's time for a crop nutrition plan that gets more return from every drop. Starting with Pro Germinator from AgroLiquid, a complete phosphorus fertilizer product that includes nitrogen, potassium, and iron. More than 30 years of research shows that lower application rates of Pro Germinator often outperform other sources of fertilizer. With AgroLiquid's Pro Germinator, you can apply less and expect more. Find out more at agroliquid.com.
Where the beef industry has really gotten a hold of the beef on dairy deal is, and depending on which sector of the industry you're in, if you're a processor, you don't really like it, but if you're the guys that's selling it, you love it, because a Holstein frame has about 3.5-inch thick cuts extra than an Angus animal.
That's one of the things the beef industry as a whole actually did a very good job of doing. You in comparison to pork or chicken, like pork, one of the worst things they ever could have said was, the other white meat. Like, it's like beef. The beef industry did a really good job of saying, this is premium, or like this is a great product. For one, you have a good product,
right?
Because everyone likes to eat beef, right?
Okay.
If not, there's something wrong with you.
I
mean, so you have a good tasting product, but what they did was they marketed beef in a way that gave the people actually raising beef an incentive to do it well.
Absolutely.
By getting to these prime cuts, this premium offering where you can go in and look through the saran wrap at a store and see, like, wow, I want to eat that steak. That is a good looking steak. You can see the marbling in it, and I think that's a lot of the reason. Well, so many years, and now, I think there's a lot of controversy over, different, whether it's, whatever company it is, keeping a lot of the profit, away from the farmer, because we've been in, probably 15 years of, really a pretty tough beef market. And now we're kind of in year 2 where it looks, it looks really good for the rancher.
Well, and probably the most upsetting fact for people that are buying the beef is the beef is actually priced where it should be. I think that's the biggest realization that a lot of people need to come to, is that everybody says, "Oh, my grocery bill's so freaking expensive."
A steak should cost more than a salad.
If everybody's getting paid what things are actually worth, the market is saying this is what it's actually worth right now, and everybody wants to go on this, oh, well, food shouldn't be this expensive. Well, reality check. If you don't have food, you're not alive. Sorry, you don't need the ultra processed stuff.
Obviously, that's a lot of production coming from a cow.
Yeah.
Nearly 100 pounds a day of milk. So what goes into them?
We're feeding athletes. We're feeding athletes for athletes' consumption. The best salad is a steak. So we feed a version of a salad.
Yeah, you kind of see that Monday morning armchair quarterback mentality. I think a lot of people telling farmers how they can improve things or what they should have done. Like,
yeah.
If it was that easy, there'd be a lot more farmers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
or in this case, a lot more dairymen.
Yeah, and there's this huge consolidation of in the ag industry right now. And a large part of that is because people didn't want to work this hard. I mean, I'm not saying that I outwork everybody. I outwork a lot of people though. And we run a 24/7 facility. I'm on call 365 days a year. Doesn't matter whether I'm in Spain or in New Zealand or somewhere across the world. I've got a sat phone with me. I've got my emails with me. If my guys need to get a hold of me, if my banker needs to get a hold of me, if a grower needs to get a hold of me, I'm available. Um, I think since we've been here, my phone's gone off 5 times already.
Yeah, you're making me look like a slacker.
And like, to an extent, I don't blame the people that wanted to get out of the ag industry, because 4 o'clock in the morning every single day, that's tough. But I don't understand the burnout on a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. It could be a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from, are you happy doing what you do?
Well,
And if you're happy doing something, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to pull longer hours, or work those 100-hour weeks.
And the beautiful thing is it's not hard every single day. If you have great systems, if you have good protocols, if you have great people like we do, it's enjoyable for everybody. We're like, a lot of people, I think, get into this, I go to work so that I can live the life that I want to. I go to work because it is the life that I want. If I want to go and catch my kids' soccer games, or take them to swim practice, or go to Breckenridge for a weekend, I can do that, because I have reliable people, and I have good protocols, and I have great systems that work. And when my guys call and say, hey, I want to go and take 2 weeks vacation, have at it, man. What do you need to help you out, and go and do those things?
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And we were talking here before I clicked record that, like, that is something I kind of want to learn from you and implement for my employees too, because you do care a lot about employees, and that obviously shows. That, I mean, that's, I think, one of the reasons Kraft Family Dairies has been so successful. And it's it starts with building that culture, and that culture, really comes down to how much you care about your employees. And there's always that's always been something for me. It's like I know, still as a young guy, like, I've learned a lot, but I kind of had to go learn it myself. And I don't think there's a ton of people that have that initiative, to put in and learn things by themselves. I mean, I'd love to help out in that educational process when it comes to, and I'm not talking, a Dave Ramsey, spend less than you make, like, well, no, duh. But what can you actually teach about assets, and what a true asset is, what a true liability is. Doodads we were talking about earlier. This stuff we waste
and
money
paying
on,
yourself every month,
and understanding tax code, and what you really understanding, money, because it's not taught in our educational system.
No, and I think that's purposeful in a lot of places. Yes. You're educated to be a minion, if you will, a lemming.
I think knowing numbers and having spreadsheets of data put together is honestly, and I've seen it with a lot of the customer base that I work with. I mean, and it's kind of their weak point. I think they could be, more profitable, but just more successful in general on the farming side of things, had they had a better tracking system of all the numbers. I mean, you ask some of these businesses outside of agriculture, and they can tell you all, what their business metrics are, and they can tell you, what their true cost of production is, and what their break even is. And I talk to a lot of farmers that have millions of dollars invested in. I mean, not very many of them know that numbers, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I think that's a real area of growth for a lot of people, where like just understanding the data and the number side of things to actually know where you're at.
I think with your thought process of the continuing education, not only for your employees, but also for the guys that you service with your products, a value added program could be, does your farm make money before you start or not? This year we did, so we forward contract a lot of our feed, so our corn silage, our haylage, high moisture. This year we did a 50 cent a ton incentive for guys that signed on before April 15th for our corn silage. On, if you fill out a piece of paper front and back and you told me what your farming practices are, how much money, or do you know how much money you spend before you get to the end of the year, those sort of things, what products you do, so that I can track the metrics. I'm not, by absolutely no means am I going to tell somebody how to farm. That's not my job. That's not my farm, not my corn, not my deal. Right. But if I have the ability to track across 4,000 acres of corn silage, 3,000 acres worth of dry corn, what guys are doing, what guys are spending, what products work, what products don't. I see all that stuff across the scale. I see it with chopper monitor data. I have all of that information. It would be insanely selfish of me to not take that data, extrapolate it, and plug in metrics that these guys have given me willingly and say, look, you want to grow 3 ton an acre more corn silage on your ground. These are the 5 things that other guys are doing that are beating you. I'm not saying that you're a bad farmer. You're good for you. Right. But I would like you to be better. I believe that you can be better. I would like to help you. Take it or leave it. It's 100% up to the growers to decide whether or not they want to do it or not. And for me, there's a partial selfish reason for it, but there's also a community reason for it. If I can take down the same 4,000 acres of corn silage and everybody produce 3 ton an acre more, I paid you more. You got the money. I got the feed.
Right.
And
it's win-win.
Yeah, and if we are talking about this major consolidation of people in the ag industry and farms and stuff like that, sooner or later, instead of 40 growers, I'm going to be dealing with 20. And they better sharpen their pencil, because this industry will eat you alive, with or without you knowing it, which is the scary part.
Right. Yeah.
And it is absolutely shocking to me how many guys have no frickin' clue what they spend or what their price per acre is before they get to the tax man.
Next Gen Fertilizers is introducing SeedLink, the game-changing planter box product that's revolutionizing corn planter box products. SeedLink delivers uniform emergence like never before, so every seed gets the perfect start. It's packed with phosphorus, humic and fulvic acids, amino acids, and beneficial biology. And the best part, SeedLink is half the cost of most of the other competitive products, even with more in it. We're not just applying biology here, we're actually applying biology with a food source. Use SeedLink on your corn today and get better emergence, better results, and all for a better price. Well, in one, I think it's on the crop production side, I think it is really difficult to be unbiased just looking at it yourself. And I know I even do that a little bit as scouting. Like when I'm scouting someone's field, I kind of feel like I'm always negative, because like I see all the things that could be a little bit better. So it's really hard to be on the inside and giving that a good rational judgment of it, I think. And I was actually just talking to my brother about this. He's like, I want a second opinion. Can you come look at my corn? And I like, that's great. Like reach out, have an agronomist or have someone else out there that can come and give you that outside opinion, because it's really hard to be so, in the day to day. Sometimes we are very biased, and I know that's one of the things. I don't think anyone out in your area listens to this podcast, so I won't offend anybody, I don't think. But I know that's one of the things that always makes me feel better the last couple of years is, I look at your corn all year, and then I go look at the neighbor's corn at the end there to help you figure out those chop dates.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, okay, maybe your corn actually looks pretty
I'm
darn
not
good.
as bad of a farmer as
you're
you
not as
thought
bad.
I was. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love to hear that. Well, I think that that's interesting is like until it comes to some of our contracting numbers, all farmers keep shit tight. They don't
They don't want to share.
You don't tell anybody anything. And I mean, I'd be surprised if half the farmers admitted to their wife that they screwed up on the corn planting.
She knows.
She knows, but you didn't tell her. Yeah, the communication that, or the thought process of not being as good as somebody else, or even field to field. I've got fields that look like total shit. I've got other fields that look Cadillac. Do I go and beat myself up about the one that looks like shit? A little bit. But you also have to take that with a grain of salt that, hey, over there I didn't do so great. Over there I did great. I made up for it.
Yeah, but it is learning from the mistakes and making sure you
absolutely
know what you did wrong so you can fix it the next year.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about that a couple episodes ago with Sam and I, and it was you don't get a lot of shots in farming.
What's the number? I think it's like 54 growing seasons.
Yeah,
is the life?
That's if you farm to like 70.
Yeah.
Or you're the decision maker at 20. Which how many of us actually fall in that boat? Usually, if you think of really when you're a decision maker to let's say you're farming until you're 80. I mean, it's probably closer to like 35 chances to get it right. So keep track of that where you make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but keep track of it so you can correct it next time. Don't keep making the same mistakes over and over.
That's the measure of insanity, right? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
I think there's just a lack of peer group, sharing from farmer to farmer, because we're always like, oh, they're competing to me across the road. They're competing with me because if I help my neighbor out, dang it, corn's going to go to $3 instead of $4. They're like, it's that we all are in competition, and we are in some extent, I think, especially when it comes to renting ground. I mean, that's the big one that always comes up. It's like, well, if I help them be a better farmer, they might end up getting a lease on the farm down the road that I really want, and so there is some level of competition. But I see this, and I'm sure you've seen this in the dairy industry with other dairies that you've communicated with and shared information with. It's like that's how you find better ways to do things, and it keeps you from having to make, whether it's the same mistake over and over again, or maybe it's a mistake you've never made but you would have in the future. This helps you, that peer group mentality helps you not make the mistakes that maybe your neighbor made already, and now you don't have to. I don't understand why we can't all get together and help each other out and learn. And you were in the Total Acre group too, and that was the big reason why that started. Was like, it was Randy Dowdy hadn't farmed. He was not from agriculture, trying to learn to farm, and no one would tell him anything. No one wanted to help him out, and I think that's really something that's dragging us down overall, especially in row crop production in agriculture, because you even get into the more of like the fruits and vegetable crops, and they're sharing a lot more information. I see it with the potato guys and my in-laws. It's like they're sharing a ton of information with growers all across the country, and I just feel like there's a lot of that doesn't go on in row crop production.
You develop our farm plan with me every year. I think I print off like 10 copies of that every year, and I hand them out to guys that are like What are you doing for your corn this year? This is what I'm doing. The numbers are on there for what it cost me an acre. Like, there's no holds barred. Everything's on the table. There are some things that I don't even tell my agronomist that I do until after the fact.
This is true.
But it's one of those things that, go with your gut. If it tells you to go and irrigate, even though your agronomist says, oh, you only need this much. Oh, it's going to be hot. No, we're going to run those sprinklers again. And the guys who did versus the guys who didn't, you can tell the difference. Heat stress and everything like that. It's a systematic approach. However, whether you're dealing with corn, cows, or people, and there's a huge piece of a system that is constantly overlooked but always talked about. It's communication. You've got to have that communication with all the people that you're working with. But a lot of times it's also helpful to get somebody who doesn't know crap about the system to come in and say, why do you do it like that? We do it this way because of this, this, and this. Well, sometimes it makes you think about, like, why do we do it that way? It seems insane now that I'm talking about it. And I think you do need those reality checks every once in a while. That just because you thought it was a great idea at the time doesn't mean that it should stick there for the next 60 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And again, it kind of goes back to the, when we're inside of something, we don't always have the best view looking at it like this. Sometimes we need to, someone who can see it from afar away and get the whole picture better.
I honestly think so. So my parents had this phenomenal plan with me when I was a kid, and my sister, is they didn't care how much school I went to. But if I ever wanted to come back to the dairy, you had to go and spend a minimum of 2 years somewhere else. That could be one employer, 1,000 employers. They didn't care. It could be in-state, out of country.
So post GED, they didn't let you skip school in middle school.
No, yeah, you had to finish high school, but if you didn't have to go to college. I am not a books person. That's not my jam. But I got one hell of an education working on grain farms in Kansas, dairies in Idaho. I was a cowboy in Montana for a long time. I've worked oil field. I've worked pipeline jobs, all sorts of stuff. Did I ever think that a lot of that stuff would apply to what I do now? No. Does it? Oh, yeah.
What advice would you give somebody who wanted to get into, dairy production, or maybe they want to be a nutritionalist for a dairy? Maybe they want to be a vet. Anything in all the many pieces that you touch at the dairy. Like, what kind of advice would you give somebody? And maybe that's the first one: is get out and learn.
So my advice to anybody that wants to get in the dairy business, agricultural in general, go and experience it. There's no wrong way to start doing it. There's ways that are more beneficial money-wise, depending on where you step in. But my dad, at the age of 65, there's still stuff that amazes him in the ag industry. And like, my wife hates going on vacation with me when we drive anywhere because it's like, oh, what are they doing over there?
Yeah.
That's constant education. It's having that drive of curiosity and, reaching out to guys and other people in the industry, out of the industry, and having conversations and just picking each other's brains and trying things. Don't be afraid to fail. And a failure isn't a failure. It's an education point. It's an opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of that spherical thinking too, is, yeah, something bad came out of it, but there was also something good, because you can't have good without bad, and you can't have bad without good, because everything has an equal and opposite reaction, right? You have to take that stuff literally. So go out and screw it up, and you'll be successful.
If people want to learn more about Kraft Family Dairies, you got a website?
No. I don't. You can hit me up on Facebook. If you want to get a hold of me, reach out to Paul, and he'll get you my contact information, and we'll go from there.
I'm just free to give it out to anybody in who.
Well, be a little discerning about it. It's like,
You'll be getting even more
time is money.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stratton. And you tune into our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and all our episodes are on our website as well. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.